Hey, this is the final sort of the final message for the day, if there's a message at all on this. Um, how do I put this? Sometimes what I'll do is I'll look at a presentation that I give to see whether or not it was how do I put it? Normally, particularly when I'm on the Big Island of Hawaii, when there's a lot of active living magma, uh, man, my state of energy is just like off the charts. Okay, I mean, I have a big ass smiley face. Okay, yeah. Okay, so I realize sometimes when I communicate to others, it can come off as very forceful, very strong. Okay, like a how do I put it? A mother who put her foot down. Okay, God took the gloves off. So I'm going, oh no, she did. Well, I know what that means. She's had enough. That's like a mother who put her foot down. So I thought, do I know how to put my foot down? When you have such an enormous amount of empathy for everything that's living, it's difficult to do that because you have so much love in your heart, right? Because we teach through love, okay, not through trying to put fear in people, right? But and this is particularly true now because all you got to do is peruse through all the YouTube videos and all the stuff that the mass media they keep hammering all this fear porn. Oh man, give me something more I can be in fear of. Keep me something more I can be in fear of. Keep me something more I can be in fear of. I mean, it's like, God, please. I mean, this goes back to being 4 years of age. It's like, that might be who you are, okay? But that's not who I am. I know better than that. It's like, man. So what happens sometimes is that I used to get sort of hammered throughout my life, like, quit putting the mirror up. Well, wait a second. I'm in observer mode, and I'm simply, if you're a teacher, it's just like, hey, you want to escalate this? I can escalate this with you. You want to rock my boat? I know how to rock your boat. And guess what we get to do together? We can drain the shit out of each other's battery. Do you want to do that with each other? That's logic. That's left side stuff, right? Um, but we got an emotion side, and I love to ride the emotions of a girl because they're very powerful. So anyway, there are some things when I communicate because of how firmly grounded, okay, I am in what I call the truth. Okay, so I know what the truth is. Okay, and I realized particularly when I was a child, when you realize that you're on a spiritual battlefield, and this is particularly true because I would probably, if I'm measuring this right across all the life that I'm aware of, I would say that probably the majority of the people on the planet, 7.5 billion people, are probably not aware of what I'm aware of, probably not aware of what a lot of us in the higher frequency range in which we experience who we are in higher consciousness, because of so much that we're aware of that's going on, and because we're not fear-based and we're love-based, we're aware of the horror show, okay? And beings that strip souls out of us and use them as food later on. So the level of evil technology, the level of demonic technology, okay, that is waged as a war against a goddess, okay? Because that's really what it is. When they come in here and they do what they do against her creations and her energy, is a war against the goddess. So I have to put that into perspective. So this gets into being one of the most serious things that you can impart on anybody, and why we don't say these kinds of things to children per se. We start with love. Once we realize, hey, you're a light warrior, and you're 10 years of age, then you're ready for anything. You're ready to wage war against those that represent evil, because that's what it is. It's evil. So we run with the light, we don't run with the dark. So when you realize as a child, for example, as I did, this is as serious as it gets. Okay, when you start getting into understanding how an event timeline works, what a timeline war is, what frequency wars are, what genetic wars are, okay, the amount of information or data, if you will, that encompass how all of that works within the light would be, how do I put it? You can explain it in 15 minutes as long as you have enough information you're already aware of that you can connect to and go, I get it, the puzzle's together. But if you're not already running an enormous amount of fire in your soul, if you will, and run powerful light, so you know that you're more powerful than that, which is why you're here, it's a completely different story. Okay? So when you know as a child, for example, that this is a spiritual battlefield, it's like you already have the rule book on how to wage war against this kind of stuff, which means running the most powerful magnetic shield that you can, okay, to keep yourself protected, okay, so that you can navigate with your shield, okay, which is through your heart, which is your most powerful neurotransmitters, okay. So, you obviously, it's a chess game, okay, because you're navigating through something that's feeding on your energy. And so in order to, the next thing you know is you lose your identity because you lose the frequency. You go from one state of consciousness to a lower state of consciousness. So if you don't remember what you are in the beginning, which is what love is, and the next thing you know, you turn into something that lives in fear of what love is as a result of so much trauma, and you can't bounce back. What happens? You lost your timeline 0, which goes on forever, see? So that's one of the reasons why I did spend as much time as I can trying to find a conduit to open the light, which is to open the circuits, particularly into the heart, okay, to where that heart can now open up and experience more light. The wave frequency goes up, and that helps clear the circuits of the memories that they're holding in memory of the trauma that they're holding on to that they weren't able to dissolve. I call it burning it off, okay, with higher frequency energy. Okay, so that's what a light worker does. That's what a light warrior does, okay, because we realize when you're going to come into a place that's been overrun, if you will, by galactic pirates that conquer worlds, strip its resources, and go on to the next one and kill off whatever they're not going to use. Okay? So in a very real sense, this would be no different if you want to scale it down to a movie that you've watched. What can I think of? Well, you have The Magnificent Seven, that Western with Steve McQueen, okay, where those banditos were coming into that peaceful village who were just simple farmers, living in peace and harmony, and here come a bunch of bad guys that are stealing their corn, which is no different than stealing energy, because that's what it is. So all you got to do is scale up what the mob is, Lucky Luciano, okay, and the Vatican, what I call the Vatican mob. So if you want to scale up the Vatican mob, just think of them as being a simple part of a much larger part of a larger organization, which means we're going to go from, how do I put it? A kill zone, a smaller kill zone, or a smaller zone in which it's been held or captured, okay, which means they're going to get a chunk out of you and you're under their control, because if you're not willing to play ball, they'll kill you. That's a predator. So all you got to do is scale up the size of the predator and go, well, instead of capturing an entire city or capturing a country or a planet, how about a galaxy? Which means now you've got to scale up your knowledge of technology, which means going from an automobile to a starship. And that's easy to do because all you got to do is look at any popular science magazine in the 1950s and say, what is the speed at which information is accelerating in order to move from one level of technology to the next? It moves like light speed. And that also means that something from the future can come back in time and bring technology back here that exists, say, 100 million years in the future. So you immediately know as a child, Star Trek is already here. So now you got to do is scale up in perception What you already know is the nature of the war that you're waging is not just local. Okay, it's intergalactic. So when I heard Tanith with the Silver Legion say these are universe killers, well, that's obvious. Because it's like an Energizer bunny, like a whack-a-mole. It doesn't have an off switch. Which means wherever they are, we're losing light. Right? So that means it takes light warriors and light workers to restore the light. And that's what we do. So sometimes when I come off on very strong linguistic terms, it's because of knowing the truth. There are some things it's easy for me sometimes to have sort of a sense of humor, because certainly Patty Broussard has a sense of humor in the way that she sort of perceives this sometimes, because she giggles a lot. That used to bother me actually sometimes, because I thought, Patty, my God, I'm experiencing all the pain from all this, and I can't laugh about this, because I'm experiencing all the horror and the pain from what's happening. I can't do that. Okay? So I began, believe it or not, beginning to realize that, and this is no reflection on her, okay? It's a reflection of me, which is that sometimes having a sense of humor, because of being able to laugh about certain things, which is really laughing yourself about the things that you know, is therapy. It's a form of therapy. It sort of helps to keep your energy up, because you realize that you don't want to give them any energy. They're vampires. They can't generate any love. So when you're in a lower frequency state as a result of what they do, you're feeding them energy. It's not that we don't love and we don't care and don't have empathy. Of course we do. That's why we're who we are. But particularly now, because I've had a couple of good demonic attacks in the last couple of days. Okay? And that actually started from the moment I came in here. So this is why living through your heart, and I knew this as a child, that's where your power is. That's your power plant. That's your protection. Your heart is always your protection when you're engaged in spiritual war. Okay? So that's why it's so important, and why I normally work with children, is to show them how to be a light warrior. And it's easy to do, to get them to be a light warrior, believe it or not, before age 7. So that's why they killed off all the teachers, as many as they could. They didn't want children to learn how to be a light warrior or a light worker. So they had to kill off all the clan mothers. Who's got more light in their heart than a mother does for her child? Right? Same as the mother goddess in this planet. So when they're going after her and her creations, it's extremely painful. So that's why a light warrior and a light worker will always defend the goddess. Because she's the birth giver of her creations. Because I'm in one of her units. So when they hurt her, they hurt me. When they hurt me, they hurt her. Because this is our home world. So when I gather all the data, and I know all the damage that's been done here, I could cry buckets of tears for days on end. Because I am very aware of all the suffering that happened here, regardless of where you come from. Because it's not just the Indians and the tribes. The clans and the tribes. It's everybody that comes in here. So I've always sort of thought of the Indians and the clans as the ambassadors of light that come into her planet to experience the most beautiful energy that you can experience, because you're experiencing a goddess who carved this place out, in which beings that come in who are suffering can heal. So to go after a healing center at a hospital, I know of no worse crime in the universe. Do you? So that's one of the reasons that I feel the way that I feel. That's the benefit of having emotions, which are a toolbox, because they're the most powerful energies. That's why they harvest energy off us. They can't generate what we do. They don't have that kind of power. So anyway, I wanted to share that because it's important to me, because of the changes that are taking place. What it is I'm aware of every morning, because I usually get a flood of stuff as soon as I wake up after my batteries are recharged. She always communicates to me, or the Galactic Sun communicates to me, or Lonnie Aked communicates to me. You know, like when was it? I believe it was this morning or yesterday morning, when I realized that the light was increasing throughout the Milky Way galaxy. Okay, because I could experience it and I felt it. That means I can experience all the light that's running through the spin of the Milky Way. That's the benefit of having the neurotransmitters in your heart, running a powerful vortex. Okay, so that's what I mean about spinning so much data, so much information that you're aware of. It's like choosing pieces of data and then trying to keep it in some coherent way in which you can impart it to others so they can understand it. But if they're not running at the same speed that you are, in which all that data is spinning, and then you put it out, becomes very difficult. What I can say to everybody on the planet is the good news, which means, and I already knew this actually as a child, which was, we already won this. We already won this. Okay? I already know that. So, because I've already experienced the other side of it. And that's why it's so important, particularly with children today, because they're our future. So I'll leave you with that. It is a very beautiful day. The smoke has finally decided to dissipate. I thought about going over to California, because God knows, because I used to be a wildland firefighter. All those wildland firefighters have been out there chasing these fires day after day after day, eating all that smoke, and the amount of trauma that they're being experienced to. Okay? So I realize how much love these firefighters need right now. Okay? Because I used to do that kind of work, and I know what it's like to experience all that. So my hat and my heart and all my love and all my light go out to every one of those firefighters and emergency medical personnel, including all the law enforcement guys that are involved in trying to, how do I put it, bring everything back to a state of peace and harmony again. But I'm also very much aware of all the habitat that's been destroyed, all the squirrels, all the chipmunks, all the bears, all the deer, all the birds, everything that's in those forests. Okay, that we lost. So this is an important time to do everything we can to live through our heart, raise our frequency up, and spread as much love and light as we can across the planet. That's what I leave you with. Have a great day.